Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us today. We're going to kick off in just a moment. Just want to make sure everyone can hear us. Hey Chuyo. If anyone is having any trouble hearing us or has any questions at all during the masterclass, just throw them into the chat window. We'll keep it open most of the time there, and we'll definitely round back to any questions towards the end. If you have any trouble hearing us, let us know now so we can help you get it all sorted out. But it sounds like everyone's all good on that side. So today we're going to be talking about Kounta Produce, which we know a lot of you are very excited to hear about and where it fits into the Kounta platform. Joined today by Narelle.
Hey guys, my name's Narelle, the product owner for Purchase and our new up and coming product Produce. So today joining Craig to help give a little bit of a demo about what to expect for that product.
Awesome. My name's Craig. If we haven't spoken before, even though I think I've spoken to a lot of you, I'm a senior account manager here and I get to talk to a lot of customers every day and get to work with product owners like Narelle to make sure the products we make are helping you and your clients. Today we're going to be covering off and introducing to you what Kounta Purchase is, but more importantly, why we've approached it in such a way. We're going to give you a demonstration of the core functionality which you need to see. And we're going to take some questions towards the end to make sure any questions you have are getting answers. We're probably going to go for about 25 to 30 minutes. If you need to go, that's completely okay. We're going to be sending out a recording of this later in the week. Just make sure you pop any questions you have in the chat so we know you have those questions. But please do stick around as long as you can because we just want to hear some feedback and make sure you know everything you and your clients need to know. So the first thing we really came across is that this underlying need of needing to be so many places in your business at once. There's so many things that every business owner now needs to be made aware of and pay attention to, whether it's Instagram or whether it's training new staff, and there's all these different elements which weren't there before, weren't there as much as before. But definitely competition is tough, and also your margins on so many of your products are getting thinner. So how do you keep on top of this and keep your focus where it needs to be to make sure your business is growing? And we know kitchen's a tough place. We know there's so many things going on there. So when you're getting ready for service and when it is in prep, the most important thing to you is control. Control is the best way for you to make sure you're maintaining consistency and quality across not only your service, but more importantly, when you're in the kitchen, the products you're making, you want to make sure you're offering your customers the absolute best that you can. So once we've got to this point, we've helped our customers already purchase the right kind of products they need and get them into their counter. Now we need to help them turn them into the beautiful products which they can offer their customers. We know why this is taking so much of your attention because to be honest, it's one of the most crucial parts of your business. Essentially, what gets delivered on a plate to your customer makes such a big impact. And it all takes place when you're creating all these things that you offer. So with a loss of consistency, you're going to have a few unhappy customers. But when you're getting a loss of stock control, that brings a lot more problems into the business, which can affect it in a bigger way. But ultimately, when all these things compound, you ultimately get a loss of revenue because you're losing customers and you're also putting money or losing money in places you're not even too sure. So what we want to do is help solve these problems. When we thought about and talked to so many different people and different people who had needs for what Kounta Produce can do, there's a lot of different things that came up and a lot of questions they wanted help solving. We feel that this is the most important question that every business owner should be asking of themselves and needs an answer to. And this is what we set out to answer with Kounta Produce. In all, we plan to help you, or you can be able to plan, produce, and sell all the things you love to make and put your passion and your creativity on what you want to focus on, and still have complete transparency and visibility on everything that's going on in the kitchen. What we're going to be covering off today is how we aim to do this with giving you a digital recipe book. We're going to give you real-time stock control and what that means with Kounta and all the ways that you can reduce waste, whether it's waste of time or waste of product. I'm going to hand over now to Narelle, who's going to take us through a demo of everything we have to show you.
Awesome, thanks Craig. So what I'll be going through today is Kounta Produce and a few of the key features that we've built and how we aim to use these features to help solve a lot of our customers' problems, being the problems that Craig just recently raised. So I might just jump into back office. So this is actually one of our demo accounts. So we'll get into it. So Produce in itself is its own separate product. And while we've sort of been talking about how it can help us, will help our customers manage their kitchen, in addition to that, as we know, recipes in the old inventory add-on in back office also is used by customers for things like cocktails and things like that. So we're hitting a few different verticals here today. So I guess what I wanted to refer back to is sort of like the three key main points that Craig was sort of talking about. So that's all around our digital recipe book, making sure that we've got accurate inventory and how we can help our customers reduce waste. So here's Produce. Here's a bit of early insight as to what it looks like and what it does. So in Produce itself, we'll be going through three key features that we've built. So recipe management, production management, and batch history. And so in terms of that first point that Craig was talking about, which is our digital recipe book, that's, I guess, the default screen that users would fall into today. So it kind of looks a little bit like this. As you can see, we've got a few recipes for things that this brew and slice customer makes. So things like a few cocktails, we've got things that they may prep, so things like pizza dough. Kind of looks like this restaurant is a bit of a pizzeria slash cocktail bar. So I guess the key thing that we wanted to drive value out of this recipe tab is we have noticed that there's a lot of manual writing of recipes, old spreadsheets that get stored. We've got recipes on bits of paper. We've seen recipes on whiteboards, or even worse, when they're not documented at all and they're kept in a chef's head. So that's something that we really wanted to alleviate within Produce and make sure that we actually give more of a human element to our digital recipe book and have it all in, I guess, easy language. And so just pop into a recipe. Let's go into pizza dough. Cool. So I wanted to talk through some of the key features that we have in comparison to the recipes that currently exist in the inventory add-on in Kounta. And before I go into that, I might just quickly refresh everyone's memory just in terms of what that currently looks like. So on the screen here is just an image from one of our support articles around how to currently manage recipes. And this one here kind of looks like actually pizza dough, or maybe something slightly different. So what the current experience is, the user has to go and calculate, you know, these crazy decimals when they just want to say, I use 14 grams of active dry yeast, not 0.141748 of active dry yeast. So in this way, the recipes aren't really heroed as something that our customer staff can go back to time and time again to ensure that consistency and that quality of the products that they make. So while I guess purchase is sort of like a one-stop shop for purchasing products and getting products into a customer's business, we see Produce as sort of being, I guess, the missing piece of the puzzle in our Kounta suite of products. So really making sure that we have a home and a one-stop shop for all the things that our customers make. So what might look immediately different already are things like recipe types, which is something that we're introducing as part of Produce. And so the current experience with recipes at the moment in Kounta is that everything is essentially made to order. Yep, there we go. Made to order, which means that I make pizza dough when a customer orders it, which means that all of my ingredients that I use sort of decrement then and there, and that's when my costs get calculated. So a different way of that we wanted to approach this is to ensure that we're sort of solving for a key process that our customers undertake on a daily or weekly basis, and that essentially is prep. So, you know, a customer, for example, a pizzeria in this particular brew and slice example, that customer may prep pizza dough on certain days of the week. And so as part of that, they need to ensure that their stock levels are updated when they make that batch of pizza dough, that their costs are calculated at the time they consume those ingredients to ensure that they've got the right traceability in their business, but to also make sure that within this product life cycle that goes in a customer's business, we are decrementing the stock at the right time, so your stock on hand levels are always correct. So that always empowers our customers to make the right purchasing decisions, but also the right preparation decisions as well. So I guess I've gone through different recipe types, and I can sort of walk through what this one means in more detail in our next, I guess, feature. So what's also slightly different as part of this recipe type called in batches is that we're allowing users to say, okay, well, if I'm going to use 1.8 litres of water, 50 grams of sugar, etc., that means I should get 20 units of pizza dough. So that's also, I guess, a new concept that we're trying to make sure is instilled in Produce. But I guess sliding into a little bit more detail, you may have noticed that this is quite different in comparison to what's the current experience of recipes today. So now we've introduced in back office a way to actually set a product's units of measurement. So let's go to, I'll just do a quick example, caster sugar. So at the moment, you can actually tell Kounta how each of these products are measured, whether it's by weight or volume, and then also let us know if it's in grams, milliliters, kilograms, etc. So for instance, this caster sugar product is measured by weight in a kilogram each. And so when I go back to my recipe and I have a look at Produce is saying that, wait for this to load, that we use 50 grams of caster sugar. So Produce will do all the smarts to actually make sure that when you make a batch of pizza dough, we're decrementing 50 grams from each of those 1 kilogram bags. Now that makes, I guess, all of these calculations that we used to sort of enforce on the customer to do completely out of, what they need to do so that they can actually be focused on creating products, managing recipes, managing costs within their business, not having to deal with all of these calculations. Another thing that's slightly different as well is instructions. So to make it really a digital recipe book, we need to enable a way for customers to tell their staff how to make the products consistent and actually surface instructions. So that's also a new thing that we've incorporated as part of Kounta Produce. So a few things that we've changed in terms of recipes. We've got a central hub for recipe management, all with, I guess, terminology and units that people are used to. So people can talk about recipes in terms of grams and milliliters and not 0.0125s. But also we've got 2 different recipe types, instructions, and a way to ensure that we've got those units of measurement pulling through. The other I guess, key value point that we sort of highlighted as well is all around real-time stock control. So I previously talked about having a recipe type called in batches. So that's the recipe type where, you make a product in bulk, essentially. And so you get to use those products over time rather than making a margarita, which is made to order. So as part of that, we built the production feature in Produce. And so it's kind of like a checklist or a prep list in a way for kitchen staff, cocktail staff to sort of manage the end-to-end production. And so what it actually does in Produce, as I think I previously mentioned before, is that it makes sure that all customers have accurate and automatic updates to their inventory for all of their stock. So here I can see on this in progress view that I've got a house spritz sort of in the works, and I'm also prepping some pizza dough. But let's just take a step back and actually understand how that end-to-end production workflow starts. So let's say that it's the weekend. I want to tell my team that they have to make a batch of pizza dough on the Tuesday ahead for Thursday or weekend service. So let's just say, I want to prep some pizza dough. I might leave some notes as well for the team to store in the cool room. Mind you, I don't really make pizza, so I'm not quite sure if that's too contextual. So as part of Produce, you can actually task the team to ensure that prep is done on certain days. So let's just say I want the team to do this on a Tuesday, and I'll plan the batch. So essentially, Produce is kind of like a task list in that it will show you everything that needs to be done on what days. And it also tells me from just about anywhere, I could be in the comfort of my own home, that all of these things are currently in progress. And so a key piece of feedback that we've received during research is that, you know, if I didn't see some of the kitchen hands perform a certain task, then it really didn't happen. And that's something that we want to alleviate and produce. So you really can be anywhere you want to and still have, I guess, you know, an eye on how the kitchen or the bar is performing and what's getting prepped and when and in which quantities. So I might just head back to pizza dough. So let's just say I've popped into the kitchen, it's a Tuesday, and I'm going to start prepping my pizza dough. So when I've started the batch, essentially that will move it to a list that's in progress. So I'll just pop into here. So at any point of time, the user can add some extra notes, like, you know, I dropped some dough on the floor, or something like that, whoops. And then I might just go ahead and once I've finished that batch, I'll tell Kounta that I've finished that batch essentially. So previously, all of these ingredients are from the batch recipe that I showed you on the other screen. So it pre-fills all of that information automatically, and Kounta knows that you should be able to make about 20 units of pizza dough given all of these ingredients. But since I've left a note and I've said I've dropped some off on the floor, I might actually say that I finished the batch, but I only made 19. So there's quite a bit of smarts in Produce when you tell Produce that you've finished, I guess, a prep task. And so what happens in the background when I click Finish Batch is that all of these ingredient levels, it's already gone now, all of the ingredients decrement from your stock, but then you also increase stock for the product that you make, which is very different and something that we don't currently do in Kounta. So that's, I guess, another way to ensure that our customers have proper stock control, everything's automatic in terms of when they update, and there's no sort of, you know, issues in traceability. So did my team prep this on that certain day? How many pizza doughs do I have in stock? And so forth. So as part of that as well, I might just jump to the history view. So the history view allows all of our customers to understand what's been made from our production feature or our prep feature, and understand how much has been made, when it was made, and all of those details. So if I just click into this batch here, this shows me all the information of when production actually happened. So when did I actually make this pizza dough? Looks like I made it ahead of time, given my planned date was for tomorrow. How much I was meant to make and how much I actually made, how much of each ingredient I used, and any notes. And a bit of a spoiler alert for this week, Produce will also be releasing a new feature whereby we'll actually calculate the cost of making this pizza dough batch. So we call that the batch cost. We'll then also divide that by how many units of pizza dough you actually made. So having a unit cost for that product. And then over time, people can then understand, okay, why is my pizza dough costing me $5 this week, $10 the next week, etc. And so at an ingredient level, we'll actually have next to these quantities here, an exact cost for each of these ingredients, which really empowers our customers to take action on, I guess, all of their production data, which is something that they've never had with Kounta before. So being able to have a bit of that traceability and surfacing all that production data, essentially what we're allowing customers to do is reduce waste. And that's waste of the time checking what's being made in terms of prep, how much stock you've got on hand, what recipes need to be updated, things like that. But then also reducing any waste of stock. So potentially I can always see that my pizza dough is always made incorrectly, or certain ingredient is used too much. And so how can we drill that back? That's the customer can use all of the information that's surfaced within these pages. So it's reduction in waste for time and stock, and eventually that really means reduction of money on your bottom line.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks, Narelle. Yeah, I definitely think giving visibility into, you know, when things were made and put into the core room, and like have those all those products easily seen, and now having inventory level for that, it's going to be super valuable, and something, as Narelle said, we haven't been able to do before. So we're really happy to be able to bring this to the Kounta platform and be able to connect the loop of what you're buying, what you're making, and ultimately the awesome products that you get to sell your customers. I think it's time to open up to some questions. I'm just going to bring up the chat window again. I got Chewy's message, but I'm going to let me know if you guys have any questions, and I'm going to take the mute off. Where is it? So jump into chat and let me know if you have any questions, and because I think if I open everyone's microphones in one go, it'll get a little bit noisy in here. Okay, I'm gonna put Chewy on the spot. Chewy, there. Oh, Mitchell's got one. Does Produce work?
Great question.
Awesome.
Great question, Mitchell. It's definitely been, I guess, raised as an idea. So especially once Purchase got a feature for stock transfers for products that customers buy, it only makes sense, right, to have stock transfers for products that you make. So it's definitely in our roadmap, and it's just now a matter of understanding where that best sits. Does that sit in Produce? We've also got it a bit sitting in Purchase for the things you buy. So we're just trying to make sure that we marry up those experiences together. But absolutely, that's an idea on our roadmap for sure. But it's not there at the moment.
Awesome.
To answer your question.
Great question. Thanks, Mitchell. Anyone else got any questions? And feel free to let me know if you've got a question. I can just turn your microphone on as well.
Cool. Was that last question regarding shipping batch made products to other sites? Yeah, so I believe that question was all around if I say make a batch of pasta, and my site is more of like a production facility, and I have other sites within my company that I distribute that pasta to sell. That stock transfers of products that you make in Produce isn't out yet as a feature, but is something definitely on our roadmap. Does that answer it? Perfect.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim. Ooh, it looks like a bit low on the questions today. That's all good. Maybe everyone's typing.
I know, right? Said a lot of detail today. I don't know.
I think you did a really good demo. I think you did a really good demo.
Actually, something that I didn't mention, and maybe this will spur up a few more questions. So I was talking about when you finish a batch that we have all of the stock levels sort of decrement and increment. So customers always have accurate inventory. But in addition to that, something that we calculate is the cost of making those products. And over time, well, not really over time, as soon as you make a batch of a product, we will always calculate your average cost for that product, and we send that back to back office. So similar in the way when customers purchase products, we take the average last 30 days of purchasing. Produce will pretty much do the same for the products that you make in batches. It's also coming out this week. Spoiler alert.
More on like what's coming up soon.
Yeah.
We're currently, if you're not aware, we're in what we call the alpha stage of Kounta Produce. That's where we've been able to have such great conversations with lots of different venues who've been happy to answer some questions and test out what we have. We're going to be opening up to a wider audience, and that's part of what we let you know in that early email. So if you know any venues who would like to get their hands on this early, get them to register their interest, because coming in August, we're going to be going to the beta phase, where it's going to be a much wider audience, and customers are going to be able to get hands-on at no cost, but also be able to give feedback. And that's probably the key thing. We want to make sure that the right customers who really need this are getting their hands and getting dirty early, and are going to be there to be able to give us the feedback we need to make sure it is just what everyone needs out there when we're ready to launch publicly. In terms of you guys getting your hands on, we're going to be enabling Produce on your partner accounts. So because we can only have the old recipes, or now new Produce enabled only one at a time. We just want to get your, make sure you're ready to have that switch over. So feel free to send an email to produce@kounta.com, letting us know once you're ready to switch from old recipes over to Produce.
Yeah, I think just in addition to that as well, if you've got any customers that have existing recipes in back office, as soon as a subscription is enabled for the first time within any site in the company, we'll actually migrate all of those recipes over into Produce. So it's quite an easy sell that way to ensure that we've got all the information that our customers have already told us sort of migrated over into our new product.
I've just got a question from Chewy.
Yeah, so what is the price for Produce to end users? Great point. So in our beta phase of our product pilot, we actually have, I think it's 3 months free for Produce at the moment, but it's currently sitting at about $100 price point per site. And I just want to make clear as well, so with recipes, they're at a company level, so all the recipe management that you'll get in Produce, if you've got one site paying, essentially it's free on all the other sites. So yeah, does that answer your question, Chewy? Cool, I'll let you go.
Awesome.
And I might just jump to Tim's question. Will Produce allow us to see what ingredients were used over a given reporting period? E.g. this week, how much flour was used at the restaurant based on what was made? Great question. We're actually trying to think about where is the best place for all of this information. Does it actually sit in, I guess, maybe an extra report tab in Produce, similar to how Purchase has their own reports tab? Or is that level of detail something more appropriate to surface within Insights to allow our customers have, I guess, that explorability and things like that? So during pilot, a few questions that we'll have are what kind of information on production are you wanting to see? Who are the people that want to see it? So that will allow us to determine what to show and where to show it. Good question. Cool.
Awesome. I think we've covered all the points, which is great. I just want to say thanks to everyone for spending some time with us to go through what we have to offer and asking some great questions. We'll be collating some of the other frequent asked questions of things showing late in the week. We'll also send a recording of this. So if there's other team members you want to share this with, please do. And don't forget to let us know, produce@kounta.com, once you're ready to check out what we have available, and we can enable that on your partner account.
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks for the feedback, guys.
So am I.
Awesome. We're probably going to round up now, but if you have any questions, we're available. So feel free to throw any questions that come your way to produce@kounta.com. Our 24/7 support team is there to still support the existing platform while we're at these early stages. Best to use that email address so we can make sure we're getting the feedback, getting the questions, and then getting your answers back to especially you guys. Awesome. Again, thank you so much. Thanks, Narelle, for spending some time with us.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Have a good one.
See ya.
See ya.